The air felt heavy enough to suffocate. In the divorce office parking lot, Lucas sat rigid behind the wheel, his furrowed brow performing an Oscar-worthy impression of concerned devotion. Cigarette smoke curled around his chiseled profile as he delivered the rehearsed lines. "Don't worry. It's just a temporary divorce. Once Olivia buys the house under my name, we'll remarry immediately. Okay?" His designer watch glinted while massaging his temple. "Olivia's credit history, you know how it is. My parents can't handle the mortgage payments at their age. This is the only way." I watched the ash tremble on his cigarette, remembering how his fingers had traced similar paths down Emily's spine in our last life. The charade almost made me laugh now. How had I ever believed this mediocre theater major deserved a Tony? She suggested this, for my protection? My thumb brushed the crumpled divorce papers. Or to keep the deed securely out of my reach. The cigarette snapped between his fingers. Ash snowed onto his Brioni slacks as his mask slipped. "Hannah, since when did you become so cynical?" "Since I died watching you fuck my stepsister in our marital bed 3 months from now. Since I learned temporary meant until your mistress finishes interior decorating our dream home. Since I realized love is just the knife you let prettier hands hold." I leaned into the Rolex-sponsored vulnerability in his eyes. "You're right. I'm being paranoid." The lie slid out smoother than his wedding vows. "Let's get this over with." His relieved exhale fogged the windshield. Poor Lucas, he still thought this was his masterpiece. The fool hadn't realized the curtain already rose on Act 2. When we emerged from the sterile government office, California sunlight glinted off my bare ring finger. His Porsche waited like a silver coffin. I let him open the door, savoring the last chivalrous gesture he'd ever waste on me. "Drop me at the gallery," I said, buckling the seatbelt that wouldn't save him. "I promised Mr. Foster we'd finalize the Rothko acquisition today." His knuckles whitened on the gearshift. Jealousy, that old faithful dog, came begging at his feet. "Ethan? Since when do you take meetings without me?" "My mistake." I smiled, letting the diamond studs catch light. I assumed temporary divorce meant temporary oversight of my professional life too. The engine roared to life. I settled back, watching familiar streets blur past. Every red light brought us closer to the intersection where I'd first catch the musky trace of Emily's perfume. Every mile marker counted down to when I'd accidentally discover those black lace panties wedged in his glove compartment. Let him play the martyr. Let them redecorate their gilded cage. I'd already hired the best forensic accountant in LA. The game wasn't rigged anymore. And this time, the house always wins. My fingers trembled as I held the fishnet stockings up to Lucas' face. "Lucas, what is this?" My voice shook uncontrollably. He barely glanced sideways, pupils contracting violently. For a split second, I saw genuine panic flicker across his features, an expression I'd never witnessed in our decade together. Then came the explosion. "Have you lost your damn mind? Hannah? I'm driving!" His roar shook the car interior. "You want us both dead asking shit like this now?" The steering wheel jerked under his white-knuckled grip. I clawed at the seatbelt, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. Gradually, the adrenaline surge ebbed, leaving cold clarity. 10 years ago when I'd insisted on marrying Lucas against my father and stepmother's wishes, they'd called him an unambitious loser. I'd nearly severed ties with my family for him. Now, returning home with accusations would only validate their "I told you so" lectures. I could already hear my stepmother's smug tone. "See? We warned you about that man." Swallowing the bitterness, I stuffed the incriminating lingerie into the glove compartment without another word. At my parents' house, Lucas seamlessly slipped into his doting husband act. The stockings might as well have been a shared hallucination. After dinner, while my parents went for their evening walk, I escaped to the balcony. The muffled voices from the downstairs bathroom froze me mid-step. "How could you be so careless? Emily? Hannah found those goddamn stockings in my car." Lucas' strained whisper carried through the vent. Emily's giggle slithered up like poisoned honey. Oopsie. But admit it, her tone dropped. Thick with suggestion. Doesn't this make things more exciting? My dear sister's still pining for reconciliation while you're balls deep in her baby sister. Nausea rose as wet. Obscene sounds followed. My vision tunneled. There stood our childhood home's powder room, its door vibrating with their grotesque rhythm. The kick landed before I could think. Wood splintered under my heel. Lucas whirled around. Bathroom light etching shock onto his face. Behind him, Emily let her slip strap dangle provocatively. Instead of shame, triumph glittered in her eyes as she leisurely draped a towel around herself. Big sis. She pouted. Venom saccharine. Since you've caught us, why not hand Lucas over? Oh wait, her finger tapped mock thoughtful lips. You already divorced him. Finders keepers. Right? I stepped over broken wood shards. Eyes locked on Lucas. To my horror, relief flooded his expression, the look of a man finally unshackled from pretense. Good you saw this. He shrugged off his suit jacket with chilling nonchalance. The Armani blazer I'd saved 3 paychecks for crumpled at his feet. Saves me the trouble of explanations. I once thought Lucas was the most perfect man in the world when wearing that suit. Yet now, he draped the very jacket I'd bought over Emily's shoulders, shielding her from my gaze like some precious treasure needing protection. Without sparing me another glance, he turned to leave with her hand in his. I grabbed Lucas' arm desperately. Where do you think you're going? We need to talk. When he finally faced me, every trace of guilt vanished from the features I'd loved for a decade. Stop making scenes, he hissed. This is your parents' house. Tears blurred my vision as I choked out. You remember whose house this is? Look me in the eye and tell me this isn't happening. My fingers trembled pointing at them. I'm calling Olivia. Let's see how your precious sister justifies this. The line connected instantly, but Olivia's voice chilled me to the bone. Hannah, men have needs. As long as they come home, why make trouble? Realization struck like a physical blow. You knew. Your whole damn family's been laughing behind my back. My scream echoed through the mansion. That's my sister he's screwing. In our home. With our parents downstairs. Olivia's tone turned venomous. You signed divorce papers months ago. My brother's single now, who cares if he's dating your sister? The dial tone hummed in my ear. Memories flashed Olivia sobbing about her fights with Ethan. Me convincing Lucas to mediate their marriage. The endless broth deliveries during her postpartum recovery. All those years playing the perfect sister-in-law, only to become disposable the instant their sham divorce scheme collapsed. Rage crystallized into white-hot clarity as Lucas tried steering Emily toward the door. I seized my sister's wrist hard enough to bruise. Not one step further until you explain this betrayal to our parents. The grandfather clock ticked loudly in the sudden silence. 3 sets of breathing audible in the foyer. Somewhere upstairs, Mom's piano playing paused. My stubbornness seemed to finally push Lucas past his limit. Hannah. He enunciated each syllable with glacial precision, his voice dropping to that dangerous register he only used when truly furious. Try laying another finger on me. His arm jerked away violently, the sudden motion sending me stumbling backward. My heel caught on the bathroom threshold, the world tilting as my skull cracked against the marble edge. Darkness swallowed me whole. When consciousness returned, I found myself in the passenger seat of Lucas' Mercedes, the familiar route to City Hall stretching before us. We'd been sitting in the parking lot for 30 minutes, the silence between us thicker than San Francisco fog. Impatience finally won out. Lucas circled the car with performative chivalry, opening my door with sunlight gilding his sharp jawline, that same calculated tenderness he'd shown during our whirlwind courtship. I understood now. Guilt transforms men into cheap imitations of their former selves. They'll shower you with rose petals to distract from the knife lodged between your ribs. The temporary divorce papers gleamed under fluorescent lights. Black ink screamed my surrender. Hannah forfeits all marital assets. The Pacific Heights penthouse purchased pre-marriage? Mine to inhabit like some tolerated squatter. Joint accounts dissolved like sugar in tea. And his thriving tech startup? My name remained as legal representative for accounting convenience. He'd purred. Those lawyer, cunning eyes softening. You'll always be my wife in everything that matters. My thumb traced the embossed letterhead. Hesitation stretching taut between us. Lucas' arm slithered around my shoulders. His breath warm against my ear. Sign it. Darling. We'll be back before the 30-day cooling-off period ends. His lips brushed my temple. The ghost of a kiss. Once we secure Olivia's Marin County estate. The endearment curled around me like scented smoke. I reached for the pen, flourishing my signature with decisive strokes. Let him savor this hollow victory. 30 days was more than enough to watch his empire crumble. His approving pat on my wrist reminded me of trainers rewarding show poodles. Deja vu washed over me how desperately I'd mistaken such condescension for devotion in our first life. I left him mid-sentence at the courthouse steps. Uber app already pinging. The Winters family mansion welcomed me with its familiar chill. I collapsed onto the Chesterfield sofa, staring at coffered ceilings until my stepmother's brusque lunch summons interrupted the numbness. The dining room chandelier's crystals refracted rainbows across untouched cocoa vin. Memories flickered Lucas and Emily tangled in silk sheets. Her breathy giggles harmonizing with his broken promises. Right on cue. The front door chimed. Sis. You're home? Emily's saccharine soprano preceded her entrance. Sunflower yellow sundress swirling around her like poisoned honey. Noticing that I wasn't responding to her as readily as before, she walked over and casually pulled out the chair across from me. Concern filled her eyes as she studied my face. You look awful. Did you fight with Lucas? My heart plummeted. In my previous life, I'd rushed home from the county clerk's office to tell my family about the legal separation. They'd taken turns comforting me, insisting we'd reconcile after securing Olivia's mortgage. This time, I'd kept silent. Yet here was Emily, casually mentioning what should have been private. The realization struck like ice water. They'd been involved far earlier than I'd imagined, early enough for her to know details only spouses should share. Sweetheart? My stepmother appeared with a fruit platter, genuine worry creasing her features. Are you feeling unwell? I studied the woman who'd raised me since childhood. Did she know her biological daughter had been sleeping with my husband? They say stepmothers bring stepfathers. Did Dad know about Emily and Lucas too? This betrayal required family-wide complicity. Vines of bitterness twisted through my chest. Yet I forced a serene smile. Emily's eyes narrowed at my unexpected reaction. Lucas and I are stronger than ever. I lied smoothly, rotating my wrist to flash the Patek Philippe he'd given as separation consolation. See? His latest gift. Emily blanched at the luxury timepiece before recovering. Really? Because he told me you'd legally separated. Said I should comfort you. Her hand clamped over mine with performative concern. You shouldn't shoulder this alone. Hannah. We're family. The hypocrisy burned. Family? More like vipers circling their prey. I extracted my hand gently. It's just paperwork for Olivia's mortgage. We'll remarry after closing. Her triumphant gleam betrayed her before she schooled her features. How irresponsible of Lucas. Let me talk sense into him. I'll always stand by you. Sis. The promise tasted like arsenic. As I moved toward the foyer, my stepmother called after me about sunscreen and keeping lunch warm. I'd barely touched my shoes when muffled giggles erupted from the living room, Emily's barely contained glee vibrating through the walls. Mom. Did you hear that? She admitted it herself. She actually fell for the sham divorce. The stepmother's wary voice carried through. Keep your voice down. Your sister hasn't left yet. What if she hears? She's too naive anyway. Mom. My chance is finally here. I stood beneath our apartment building, staring up at the lit windows that once symbolized my proud family of 4. Now it felt like a slaughterhouse. The stinging pain in my chest hardened into cold clarity as I remembered something crucial. Olivia wanted to buy a luxury penthouse in the new East District's prime location, the kind requiring at least $1 million down payment. But Olivia hadn't held steady employment in years, barely covering daily expenses. With her marriage to Ethan long since dead, where would foster family money come from? Ethan was notoriously sharp. He'd never let such a massive purchase slip by. If he knew about this property, the funding source became even more suspicious. My fingers moved before my brain caught up, dialing someone I'd only met at family gatherings. The line rang endlessly before connecting to background chatter. "This is Hannah. We need to discuss Olivia's real estate transaction." A soft scoff traveled through the receiver. "Half an hour." Southside's Whispering Leaves Tea House. Ethan was already lounging in the booth when I arrived, cigarette smoke curling around his sardonic smile. I laid out every detail expecting shock, but he simply listened before crushing his cigarette. "Hannah, did you really think I wouldn't know?" He sipped tea, eyes glinting over the rim. "Perhaps focus on your own crumbling marriage first." His dismissive gaze made me feel like a circus clown. Heat flooded my cheeks as I stood abruptly. "Since you're not interested in cooperation." He didn't bother looking up as I left. Returning to Lucas' apartment at dusk, I found him waiting with a velvet box. "Hannah, I know this divorce pains you." His fingers brushed my neck as he fastened a glittering graph necklace. "I picked up their newest design after work, your favorite." The diamonds chilled my skin. Graph was Emily's preferred brand. My taste had always leaned toward Cartier's minimalist lines. Lucas couldn't even remember this basic detail about his own wife, or perhaps he'd never cared to learn. I stood frozen as the icy diamonds touched my skin. "What?" I asked slowly, my voice devoid of emotion. Should I be thrilled that my husband filed a paper divorce and told my stepsister about it first? Lucas's arms stiffened around me. He circled back to face me, his placating expression vanishing when he saw my stony face. "Why are you still hung up on this? We're family. Helping Olivia is helping me. The divorce is just procedural. And we've already signed the agreement. I only told Emily because she's your sister. I wanted her to comfort you. Don't you get it?" He yanked at his tie like I was suffocating him. "I've got an emergency at the office." At the doorway, he paused while slipping on his shoes. "Hannah, think carefully. Has anyone truly wronged you here?" "But Lucas," I whispered to the closing door. "Haven't you wronged me countless times?" Emily arrived next morning, likely dispatched by Lucas to defuse this time bomb. She clutched my hands the moment she entered, eyes glistening. "Sis, I know you hate pity. But we're family, we should share everything." I lowered my gaze, shoulders trembling as twin tears fell. "Emily, do you think your brother-in-law meant it when he said this divorce is fake? He claims I'm still the corporate legal persona, that I can sign any contract in his absence. That I'm second only to him. Should I believe him?" A sickly pallor crept up Emily's neck, staining through her makeup. "Oh, you're still the legal representative?" Her brittle laugh cracked. "How devoted of him." Beneath the jealousy, raw hurt shimmered like the graph necklace around her throat, an exact twin of mine. "New necklace?" I asked. Emily brightened, cradling the pendant. "My boyfriend spent 6 figures on this." "Gorgeous, right?" Lucas gave me graph. Her boyfriend gave her graph. What cosmic coincidence. "Stunning." I breathed. "Make yourself comfortable, I need the restroom." While she preened over her jewels, I locked myself in the bedroom. From last night's velvet box, I retrieved Lucas's gift. The authentication app scanned every facet. 2 blood-red words blazed on my screen: counterfeit. The last thread of composure snapped. Lucas dared give me a fake while the genuine article adorned Emily's neck? They flaunted this betrayal, treating me like a fool. The cruelest joke? In my past life, I'd been that fool. I'd once gleefully shown Emily my matching necklace, oblivious to her triumphant giggles. Now I understood, her delight came from seeing me wear the sham while she flaunted the prize. Lucas Mitchell. How dare you and Emily treat me like this and still expect me to play along with your sham divorce? In your dreams. 2 weeks before the cooling-off period ended, our relationship had thawed slightly. Lucas took me back to the Mitchell family estate, insisting we have a family dinner to clear the air and stop my unnecessary worrying. I knew this was the final offensive, his last attempt to ensure my absolute compliance before endgame. The Mitchell mansion glowed with artificial warmth. Olivia rushed from the sofa when I entered. "Sis!" she squealed. I sidestepped her embrace, offering only a curt nod. The single syllable extinguished her enthusiasm like ice water on flames. All eyes turned to me as Olivia's arms hung suspended mid-air. Even Mrs. Mitchell's practiced smile faltered before she recovered, instructing the housekeeper, "Bring out the rambutans we specially bought for Hannah. They're her favorite." Last life. I'd melted at such cheap gestures. Now I didn't even glance at the fruit. "No thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. I've lost my taste for sweets." The honorific made her facade crack. Lucas's jaw tightened as he dragged me to the balcony, grip bruising my wrist. "What's wrong with you, Hannah? We're here to fix things, not for your petty theatrics." Tears welled on command. "You're replacing me as legal representative and expect me to smile about it?" I turned away, voice trembling. "I agreed to divorce you to help, and you stab me in the back before the ink dries." His anger faltered. A week prior, he'd suggested removing me as company figurehead, citing liability concerns. I'd played the reluctant, legally ignorant wife then. Now, as I shrugged off his conciliatory arm, he mistook my fury for pouting. "Being figurehead only brings risk. Let me make it up to you." His patronizing smile returned. "Name your price." "Anything?" I sniffled, swallowing bitter laughter. He'd gladly give fake graph necklaces. But real money? "There's an auction landscape painting, 5 figures starting bid." The color drained from his face. I stared at his shifting expressions, cold laughter bubbling in my chest. Turning to leave, I felt Lucas's urgent grip on my arm. He gritted his teeth like a man walking to the gallows. "Fine. I'll bid for you." At the auction house, I traced the illustration of sunset crossing in the catalog with trembling fingers when my father's call interrupted. Stepping into the quiet corridor, I answered. "Everything set for the auction?" His voice held that particular blend of guilt and manipulation I'd come to recognize. "Hannah, maybe you should come home instead. Emily's having a rough day. She needs. Her bad mood requires my stand-up routine now?" The words tasted like acid. "She's a grown woman. Let her sulk." His roar vibrated through the phone. "You ungrateful brat. Emily supported you through that sham divorce. The least you could do is comfort her while you all pretend not to know she's sleeping with my husband?" My vision blurred. "I'm your daughter too. This auction is the only thing keeping me from burning our family photos. Let me have this." The silence stretched before he hissed. 30 years of acting sweet. And this is your true colors? You never accepted your stepmother or sister. Funny. I whispered. "I was just thinking the same about you." The auction crowd's murmur pulled me back until I collided with a wall of tailored suit. Ethan stood holding champagne, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Clever move dragging Lucas here. Empty his wallet and leave a money trail." Before I could respond, he leaned close, breath grazing my ear. "Let me help." A hand yanked me backward. Lucas shoved between us, fury radiating. "Stay away from my wife." "Wife?" Ethan's smile turned lethal. "Your sister Olivia drugged me to get that ring. You helped plan it. He raised his glass in mock toast. Shall we discuss real marriages? Brother-in-law? I don't mind learning from her despicable tricks back then. The words hung in the air like a resounding slap across Lucas's face. His hand twitched, poised to strike Ethan. I grabbed his forearm just in time. There are cameras everywhere. Don't be reckless. Only when we returned to our seats did I understand Ethan's earlier promise of giving you a boost. Lucas had only prepared $1 million for the auction. But his real opponent turned out to be Ethan. The escalating bids between them stopped being about the painting, transforming into a silent duel between two alpha males. Ethan mirrored every bid with infuriating calmness, like a cat toying with a mouse. The game continued until reaching $2 million. When Ethan suddenly withdrew with a smirk, the car ride home felt suffocating. Lucas's knuckles whitened against the steering wheel as his phone rang incessantly. He let each call die, the electronic pulses echoing through the dark garage when we parked. When the ringing resumed, I tilted my head toward his granite profile. Honey, your phone's ringing. It was the first time I'd called him honey since my rebirth 2 weeks ago. His glacial eyes snapped to mine. People only change their behavior when they're guilty. Hannah, what exactly did you do tonight? The leather seat creaked as he unbuckled and loomed over me, his cologne mingling with barely restrained fury. Since when did you and Ethan become so close? Close enough for private hallway meetings? For whispered conversations? Wait. You're misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? His fingers dug into my jaw. You looked thrilled at the auction house. My protests ignited his rage. He hauled me over his shoulder, ignoring my struggles, and carried me to the bedroom. His forgotten phone vibrated relentlessly on the nightstand until he slammed the power button. Later, nestled against his sweat-damp chest, I asked calmly, when are we filing the divorce papers? The cigarette between his fingers trembled. Let's wait. But doesn't Olivia need your name for her property purchase? I'll handle it. He ground out, stubbing the cigarette violently. The next afternoon, Olivia stormed into my penthouse. What the hell did you say to my brother? Yawning against the doorframe, I drawled. About what? Divorce papers. Olivia stomped her foot angrily. Why did Lucas suddenly say we should wait? Did you say something? I reclined on the sofa, picking up my phone while ignoring her outburst. This blatant disregard ignited her fury. She slammed her Hermes bag onto the coffee table. Hannah, what's your problem? I'm talking to you. Setting down my phone, I met her gaze calmly. He'll explain everything to you. If Lucas would talk, do you think I'd be here? Olivia's voice rose hysterically. What witchcraft did you use to make him change his mind about getting married? I smirked innocently. How should I know? Maybe you should stop running to me every time something goes wrong. Do I owe you from a past life? My retort silenced her. She gaped wordlessly before snatching her bag like a defeated rooster. I thought you'd be a decent sister-in-law. She spat venomously. Turns out you're no better than. Her words died under my dagger-like stare. I anticipated Olivia's next move perfectly. The trap had been set. True to form, Emily called within 24 hours. Hannah, could you come home? There's something important. Of course. I hung up but didn't rush. Instead, I opened my nightstand drawer, placing inside a high school photo Ethan had mailed me crisp white shirt. Clear-eyed smile. Perfect bait. Timing my arrival with Lucas' usual return from work, I strolled into my father's mansion. As expected, only Emily waited. You came. She beamed. This is my home. I corrected icily, tossing my clutch on the entryway table. I'm returning, not visiting. Remember that. Emily's smile faltered. Ignoring my hostility, she dragged me to the sofa, eyes welling with tears. It's Lucas. I think he's cheating. She shoved blurry surveillance photos of my husband escorting a brunette through Neiman Marcus. How's the divorce proceeding? Maybe you should really go through with it. I gasped dramatically. But Lucas says he still loves me. We're calling it off. The color drained from Emily's face. Don't believe him. Men lie. When I remained unconvinced, her mask slipped. You're pathetically naive. She sneered, venom dripping through clenched teeth. She grabbed her phone, opened Messenger, and shoved the screen in my face. Look at this. The screen displayed her chat history with Lucas, along with glaring screenshots of money transfers. $5,200. $5,200. Another $5,200. Each transaction carried affectionate notes like Emily's purse fund and Emily's allowance. Though Lucas earned that money, legally it remained our joint marital assets. My mind exploded with a deafening roar. I remembered Valentine's Day clearly. Lucas had sent me $1,314. I'd screenshot it and proudly shared it in our family group chat. What a cruel joke that seemed now. In my past life, I'd basked in his supposed devotion, never questioning anything. I thought the money he gave me was generous, never imagining he gave Emily more. I adjusted my collar, ensuring the hidden camera in my brooch captured every detail of Emily's smug expression and those damning transaction records. Evidence secured. Snatching my bag from the foyer, I stormed out as Emily's muffled laughter chased me. Inside my car, my devastated expression hardened into glacial composure. The steering wheel creaked under my grip. Hannah, stay calm, I whispered. The real show's just beginning. Lucas called as predicted. Where are you? The house is empty. I went to replace my missing bank card. I sniffled, laying it on thick. Wait, it might be in our nightstand. Could you check? I'm coming home now. Fine. His single-word reply hung ominously. I knew exactly what awaited me. He'd soon discover more than a bank card in that drawer. Night had swallowed the mansion when I returned. No lights illuminated the floor-to-ceiling windows that stared like blackened eyes. Before I could flip a switch, a whiskey-scented hand yanked me against the door. Lucas pinned me with feral intensity, his breath reeking of bourbon. Since when do you hide photos of other men? Hannah? Ethan? I met his glare in silence. Answer me! He ripped at my coat. My struggles only fueled his frenzy as he growled. You're my wife. I'll take what I want. Fumbling blindly in my bag, I muscle memoried 911 on my phone. When officers arrived, their flashlights exposed my tear-streaked face and Lucas's enraged snarl, my lingerie the only fabric left between us. The moment it happened, I burst into messy sobs. The tears were real. The terror was real. But more than anything, the exhilaration of my plan succeeding flooded through me. A police officer strode forward and roughly shoved Lucas away before he could react. Sir, even within marriage, coercing a woman is illegal. The scandal of Lucas committing marital coercion against me exploded publicly. His company was in its critical growth phase. This controversy threatened to derail his entire career. The Mitchells came begging me to issue a statement retracting my claims. I refused outright. Meanwhile, Ethan showed no such restraint. He sent 4 broad-shouldered men in black suits to confront Olivia, dumping detailed financial records proving she'd embezzled $1 million company funds using her status as Mrs. Mitchell. The divorce papers followed. You've committed gross misconduct by diverting funds to personal accounts. The divorce terms are simple: I get full custody. You leave with nothing. Anticipating retaliation, Ethan personally called Mr. Mitchell Sr. Your son auctioned a painting for $2 million last week. Coincidentally, I'm acquainted with the gallery owner. Those transaction records, well, let's just say they wouldn't hold up under IRS scrutiny. Should we test how interested the FBI is in money laundering schemes? The elder Mitchell sneered. even if there's dirty money involved. The company's legal representative is Hannah. My son's hands are clean. Ethan's chuckle carried frost. Actually, Lucas transferred legal responsibilities days ago. To Emily. I believe. The Mitchells remained unfazed. They'd gladly sacrifice Emily. But my father and stepmother panicked. They dragged Emily to my doorstep with armfuls of gifts, pleading for intervention. How can I help? I spread my hands. The evidence is in Ethan's possession. Emily suddenly jerked her head up, venom in her stare. Hannah, you knew. You knew about me and Lucas all along. Didn't you? I smiled. Weren't you the one leaving breadcrumbs for me to find? The slap of truth left her trembling. My stepmother tugged at Emily's arm while her father growled at her to shut up. But Emily exploded, shaking them off. So what if I did? You're still the unwanted one. I'm the treasured daughter here and with Lucas. I applauded slowly. Bravo. Keep Dad's affection, I never wanted it. As for Lucas, I let the pause linger, savoring her paling face. How romantic that he'd let you take his prison sentence. Such exclusive devotion. As my stepmother and father tried dragging her away, I called after them, "Oh, Dad?" When Emily flaunted Lucas gifts last month, I photographed every transaction record and jewelry receipt. Roughly $200,000 worth. Since those were purchased with marital assets, I'm entitled to half in the divorce. Those are illegal recordings. My stepmother shrieked. I shrugged. The courts can subpoena their bank records easily enough without my photos. My father finally turned to Emily, trembling. How much did he actually give you? When she hesitated, I answered cheerfully, just under $100,000. The color drained from his face. His finger jabbed erratically at Emily before his eyes rolled back. He collapsed like felled timber, sending the room into chaos. The wail of an ambulance shattered the quiet of the neighborhood. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, coldly watching the flashing lights disappear down the street. An hour later, the hospital called. My father had suffered a cerebral hemorrhage. Even if he survived, he'd be paralyzed for life. By dawn, the scandal had become the city's hottest topic. Emily was detained on suspicion of large-scale money laundering. Witnesses said she screamed Lucas's name during her arrest, claiming he'd manipulated her. As for Lucas himself, the Mitchell family liquidated assets and pulled every string to barely keep him out of the investigation's crosshairs. When the storm passed, I released my final public statement, "Let's live our separate lives in peace." The house, the accounts, every asset became mine. Lucas left with nothing but the clothes on his back. The company he'd built from scratch collapsed within weeks. On the day of my flight, the sky stretched clear and endless. I just checked my luggage when I turned to see Lucas staggering toward me. Sunken eyes, unshaven jaw, his designer shirt crumpled like discarded takeout wrap, all traces of his former charm gone. He must have tracked my flight details. Those bloodshot eyes locked onto me like a cornered animal's. Then, in the middle of the bustling terminal, he dropped to his knees with a sickening thud. "Hannah," he choked out, snot mixing with tears as he clutched my suitcase handle. "It was all Emily's doing. She seduced me. I've always loved you." His performative anguish turned my stomach. Why else would I delay the divorce? Why make her CEO? That last lie snapped something in me. I crouched to meet his gaze. "Your love?" My laugh echoed across the marble floors. "That garbage belongs in a dumpster." The cops arrived within minutes, dragging away the babbling wreck that was once Lucas. I didn't look back as I walked through security. Later, I heard Olivia tried harassing Ethan, blaming him for the family's downfall. His security team had her arrested for criminal threats before she could cause real damage. Some people never learn. During takeoff, the G-force pressed me into the seat. My phone lit up with Ethan's unsent message, impressive composure at the airport. We could use that steal at Foster Holdings. Interested? I typed a polite refusal, scheduling it to send after landing. Below the wing, sunlight pierced through storm clouds like golden blades, illuminating the endless horizon. For the first time in years, everything looked brilliantly, blindingly clear.